Welcome back to our channel, where we present updates and concealed tales about royal family. We are happy to offer the following news. Harry goes nut after Meghan's real age exposed. All that was required was a single, seemingly innocuous snapshot that was hidden deep within a carousel on Instagram that was devoted to the end of the year. It was an unmistakable piece of evidence for the horde of internet detectives who had been following her every move. Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, was confronted with a digital time bomb that had been planted by the individual who had been entrusted with the responsibility of building her public face. This digital time bomb now threatened to destroy the very image of authenticity that she had meticulously crafted. It was not a narrative about palace intrigue or royal procedure. Rather, it was a contemporary drama about celebrity and control. And it was a truth that was disclosed, not in a headline, but rather in the delicate and damning pixels of a social media post. The inquiry that it raised was as straightforward as it was devastating. If the narrative about her makeup was a lie, then what else was it that was fabricated? Before the Paris prelude. Even though it was not in the carefully cultivated gardens of Montecito, but rather beneath the harsh lights of Paris Fashion Week, the stage was already set for this silent explosion to occur some weeks earlier. An unannounced but stunning presence, Meghan Markle had come in the French city at the beginning of October, at the beginning of the month. For her, it was a strategic act, a reassertion of her role as a global style symbol, independent of the royal institution that she had left behind. She also had the right appearance. The skin of the woman was captured by a phalanx of photographers, and it possessed a radiance that was almost otherworldly. A complexion that was so glossy that it appeared to reflect the very flashbulbs that were catching it was referred to as the dewy finish, which was praised by both critics and lovers alike. It was an appearance that exuded easy glamour, health, and prosperity all at the same time. Daniel Martin, her longtime makeup artist and, according to his own public account, a valued friend, was the one responsible for getting her to look that way. Martin is not only a technician with a brush, he is a celebrity in his own right, a global director of artistry for the luxury brand Tatcha, and the architect of Meghan's now famous wedding day makeup. Martin is also the person responsible for the makeup that now has become iconic. During the years that passed before she became acquainted with Prince Harry, they had a friendship that appeared to be founded on cooperation and mutual regard for one another. It is clear that Martin was encouraged by the rush of good attention that he received after the success of the trip to Paris, and he took to his Instagram account accordingly. He uploaded a video reel that was both informative and enthusiastic, in which he broke down the methods and, most importantly, the materials that were utilized to produce Meghan's natural Parisian glow. While he was gushing about the event and the love he had received, he started painstakingly cataloging the Tatcha goods that had been responsible for the wonderful encounter. This would be considered ordinary practice for any other celebrity. It would be a mutually beneficial exchange of exposure. Acknowledgement is given to the artist, an invaluable endorsement is given to the brand, and the celebrity's reputation is improved. The House of Sussex, on the other hand, follows a separate set of regulations altogether. The post failed to appear. The entire breakdown of Meghan's beauty routine was removed off the internet without any explanation or comment being provided. The message was unambiguous and unflinching to those who monitor the sector. An unapproved disclosure was made in this instance. The story is solely under Meghan Markle's control within the carefully managed universe that she has created for herself. No one, not even a devoted friend and partner, is allowed to speak on her behalf or leverage her image without her explicit assent. And it is presumed that this is not the case if there is not a business agreement in place. For a company like Archewell, which is founded on the principles of altruism and genuine storytelling, the line between personal endorsement and economic activity is fraught with danger, according to public relations experts. It is possible that Martin's decision to openly tag Tatcha products could be interpreted as a business transaction, which would make her efforts to help others more difficult to understand. Controlling the story in a rapid and decisive manner was demonstrated by the swift deletion. According to individuals who examined the media patterns of the Sussexes, it was also a clear shot across the bow to a guy who had possibly forgotten his place in the world. It had been brought to the attention of Daniel Martin, the friend, that he was also Daniel Martin, the employee simultaneously. A severe, however silent, rebuke was delivered to him in the form of the public humiliation of having his work-related post removed against his will. It was a wound that, as it would become clear in the future, would not be devoid of its effects. Although he had been quiet, he had not been disarmed, as the events that were to follow would soon demonstrate. A story told from two cities. In a few days, Meghan was once again on the road, this time to New York City, following the incident that occurred in Paris. During the trip, she engaged in a public relations effort that was painstakingly planned, with the intention of establishing her reputation as a global humanitarian. The most important part of the trip was when she accepted the Woman of Vision Award from the Ms. Foundation for Women. This was a momentous honor that put her in the same company as other prominent figures in the feminist movement. She and Prince Harry made an appearance at a summit the following day, which coincided with World Mental Health Day, for the program that they are working on with their Archwell Foundation, called Project Healthy Minds. Each and every appearance allowed for a photo opportunity, and each and every clothing made a statement. Her face was once again radiating with that trademark radiance that was ready for the camera, and she was the epitome of compassion and purpose. A frenzy of high-stakes appearances, ranging from the awards dinner to high-profile meetings, took place during this time. Gloria Steinem, a pioneer in the field of feminism, was one of the prominent figures that she was pictured with. She was also photographed alongside other influential figures. One particular photograph was taken during a gathering that took place at Steinem's residence. It was an apparently informal and personal moment that was documented on social media. Posh and radiant, Meghan gave off the impression of being a self-assured and capable leader. It was a masterclass in image management during the entirety of the New York tour, which projected a story of a woman who was committed to service and was far distant from the gilded cage of the monarchy. Then, when she had returned to California, a peculiar narrative started to spread, and it was distributed to media sites that were friendly to her. Following the publication of an article that included a comprehensive list of products, it was stated that Meghan Markle had applied all of her own cosmetics throughout the entirety of her trip to New York. In the feature, she was praised for taking the power of glam into her own hands, which painted a picture of a woman who was grounded, self-sufficient, and, despite having a global platform, was approachable enough to handle her own concealer and mascara. A particular note was made in the article on her utilization of products from the No Makeup Makeup range that was created by Victoria Jackson. This specific aspect was not a coincidence. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are fortunate to have Victoria Jackson as a sponsor because she is not only a successful businesswoman in the cosmetics industry. Some people have referred to Jackson as a sugar mama, and it has been alleged that she has granted the pair access to her private jets, as well as her portfolio of luxury houses, which includes a gorgeous brownstone in New York City. The housekeeper accidentally disclosed to an interviewer that she was instructed to formally announce Meghan's arrival whenever she entered a room. This information was met with widespread public ridicule and accusations of narcissistic behavior. The housekeeper's revelation occurred at this very brownstone during a previous visit. In the eyes of seasoned media analysts, the explicit inclusion of Victoria Jackson's brand in the article appeared to be less of a beauty tip and more of a calculated offering in exchange for something else. It was a public expression of gratitude, a method of expressing gratitude to a client for their generosity by providing a useful endorsement that was high profile and disguised as a relatable narrative. It was the perfect story. Meghan, the humble humanitarian, utilizing the products of her benefactor while she was on a mission of service, and all the while being competent enough to create her own immaculate appearance. When it came to her brand, it was a tale that reinforced her brand on every level: competency, loyalty, and a bit of accessible girl-next-door charm. In addition to this, the evidence would soon indicate that it was a total and utter fiction. The respective architect of the glow. Over the course of several weeks, the tale of Meghan's ability to construct her own makeup served as yet another demonstration of her numerous abilities. It was a little but telling detail for her fans, and it worked its way into the lore of her life after she left the royal family. In the ongoing culture war that surrounds the Duchess of Cambridge, it was received with suspicion from those who are opposed to her, but because there was no evidence to support it, it remains simply another claim. This evidence would come to light in a stealthy manner toward the close of the year from the most improbable of sources: Daniel Martin's own Instagram feed. Martin, along with millions of other people, published a reflective photo dump at the end of the year 2023. This photo dump consisted of a carousel of photographs that summarized the highlights of his career and personal life during the year. In the realm of social media, it was a routine that was almost unremarkable. He added photographs from his appearances on television, as well as other significant moments in his career. It should be noted that there were no recent photographs that were straight of Meghan Markle. As a result of the Paris event, it was very evident that he was mandated to refrain from posting her picture without first obtaining her permission. He had achieved his goal of learning. The snapshot, however, was hidden all the way in the middle of the carousel, sandwiched in between photographs of other customers and events. Specifically, it was a photograph of Daniel Martin himself. It was not a studio or a film set where he was located. It was unmistakable that he was inside Gloria Steinem's residence, which is known for its colorful style. Everyone who had seen the impromptu images of Meghan and Steinem from their trip to New York was immediately able to recognize the unusual decor, which included the specific arrangement of books and antiques. Martin had been present. He was present at the scene. Instead of being there as a visitor, he was there to perform his duties. The instruments of his trade, which were part of his professional outfit, were on display. This was not him doing his own cosmetics. Rather, he was getting ready for a client. Unquestionably, the timing was perfect. The place was an exact match for the person. The impact of the suggestion was immediate and explosive. In the event that Daniel Martin was there at Gloria Steinem's residence on the same day that Meghan Markle was there for what was touted as a casual get-together, what was he doing? That he was there to apply cosmetics was the conclusion that made the most sense, and it was also the only one that was possible. Additionally, not only for Gloria Steinem, with even the tiniest amount of inspection, the notion that this was merely a nice visit is completely demolished. In order to have a private conversation in her living room, why would a world-famous feminist icon require the services of one of the most in-demand celebrity makeup artists on the planet? The presence of Martin turns the atmosphere from a gathering of casual acquaintances into a photograph that has been professionally arranged. In addition, if he had been present to get Steinem ready for the cameras, it is illogical to suppose that he would not have also been responsible for the perfect and radiant appearance of Meghan Markle, who was the major attraction at the occasion. Furthermore, the very outfit that Meghan wore in New York featured all of the distinct characteristics that are characteristic of his personal style. One of the most well-known techniques offered by Daniel Martin is the dewy finish, which is accomplished by incorporating serum straight into the foundation. It was the identical outfit that had generated a commotion in Paris 2 years before. In the midst of a high-pressure tour that lasted for multiple days, it is difficult to believe that she was able to duplicate it so effectively on her own. In order to complete the jigsaw, the photograph was the missing piece. The idea that she had done her own makeup was immediately refuted by this information, which had been carefully placed. A deliberate public relations tactic was shown to be the relatable anecdote as a result of this situation. The individual whom she had previously silenced in public just a few weeks prior had, whether purposefully or not, become the source of her exposure on the internet. A payroll friendship, on the other side. A more in-depth and unsettling investigation into Daniel Martin's relationship with the Duchess of Cambridge is required as a result of the disclosure that was posted on his Instagram page. Is he the treasured buddy that he has frequently been portrayed as? Or is he no more than a high-level employee who is subject to the same tight rules and transactional dynamics as any other member of her staff? The evidence suggests that there is a power dynamic that is not only complicated, but also may be severely uneven. This power dynamic is one in which the language of friendship is employed to soften the realities of hiring. The issue of the royal wedding is a significant piece of historical backdrop that is frequently brought up by people who follow the royal family. Daniel Martin is widely recognized as the artist who was responsible for Meghan's graceful and natural makeup on that momentous occasion. For his work, he received praise from all across the world. According to a number of stories, however, he was not present at the wedding ceremony itself as a guest. He was invited to a cake-tasting event in advance, which is a gesture that gives the impression of inclusion. Nonetheless, he was noticeably absent from the main event, as well as the elite receptions that followed. It is essential to make this distinction. It implies that there is a distinct boundary between the inner circle of professionals and the one of intimate friends. It appears that he was not deemed close enough to the bride to rejoice with her as a friend, despite the fact that he was vital to the process of building the image of the bride. Because of this dynamic, the Paris incident is viewed in a different manner. It is possible that Martin was acting under the presumption of friendship when he posted his ecstatic video. He may have believed that he was celebrating an accomplishment that they had both achieved. It would have been a shocking revelation of his true rank if he had demanded that it be removed. The fact that his access and proximity are conditional and dependent on his utility to brand Sussex was brought to his attention to remind him of this. When it was determined that his discretion had been compromised, his expertise was not sufficient to shield him from a prompt and public reprimand. His value is derived from his skill, and his discretion is what makes him valuable. The topic of the motivation for the photograph taken in New York is brought up as a result of this. Could it have been a careless blunder? A simple mistake made by a man who was proud of his profession and his travels that led to its inclusion in his year-end summary? Is it possible that it was a covert and strategic act of defiance? Was he, as the creator of the source video would have you believe, salty as a result of the Paris rebuke? In light of the fact that Martin felt disrespected and was silenced in public, it is not at all implausible that he made the decision to claim a small portion of the truth. Despite the fact that he was unable to upload a picture of Meghan, he was able to post a picture of himself at a particular time and location, which would enable the digitally savvy public to make the connection between the two. This can be interpreted as a sort of resistance that is not active. However, he did not adhere to the spirit of their directive, which said that there should be no unauthorized photographs taken of the Duchess. He was aware that the online communities that were devoted to analyzing Meghan's life would immediately recognize the place and comprehend the implications of the situation. It was a denial of responsibility that was credible. In the event that he were to be confronted, he might easily argue that he was present for Gloria Steinem, which is an entirely reasonable allegation. However, the message that was not expressed was conveyed with a high degree of precision. It was a quiet insurrection, a reclaiming of his own contribution to a narrative by which he had been purposefully eliminated from the story. An invoice for his silence had just been issued to his employer by the individual who was on the payroll. The invoice was payable in the currency of public truth. In the process of unraveling a narrative, At first glance, the dispute around who applied Meghan Markle's foundation in New York may appear to be so insignificant that it is almost unimportant. Given the current state of the globe, which is marked by geopolitical problems and economic unpredictability, the makeup routines of a duchess who resides in California are scarcely matters of global significance. On the other hand, to disregard it as such would be to completely miss the point. The significance of this disclosure resides not in the deed itself, but in what it reveals about the painstaking and at times fraudulent development of the Sussex brand. A brand that has bet its whole legitimacy on the concept of authenticity and speaking your truth. For public personalities such as Meghan and Harry, who have left an organization that they have criticized for being dishonest and performative, their personal narrative is the most valuable thing they possess. Every single interview, podcast, and public remark that they make is a brick that is being added to the foundation of their new identity. Regardless of how small the crack may be, the appearance of a fissure in that foundation poses a threat to the structural integrity of the entire building. The assertion that she applied her own cosmetics was not a mistake made by accident. Rather, it was a piece of myth-making that was constructed on purpose. It was conceived with the intention of conveying an image of relatability and self-reliance, while at the same time fulfilling a commercial goal by promoting the brand of a donor. A desire to alter the truth for strategic gain is suggested by the discovery that this was most likely a fabrication. This tendency is evident even in the most insignificant of details. The true extent of the destruction may be found here. It is unreasonable to expect the general public to believe the more significant news if they are unable to trust the smaller ones. The most consistent charge that has been hurled against the Duchess is that she is a master manipulator of her own image, a performer playing the role of a victim and a humanitarian. This episode feeds directly into that criticism. Those individuals who have maintained for a long time that her public persona is an illusion that has been meticulously cultivated now have access to concrete and visible evidence. When such intentional deceptions are brought to light, the so-called textbook narcissist moniker, which was originally limited to the vocabulary of her most vehement adversaries, earns a degree of validity in the mainstream. There will be substantial repercussions for the Archewell brand with regard to the long future. In order to be considered completely sincere, a foundation that is committed to compassion and mental health must be recognized as such. If its founders exhibit even the slightest trace of self-serving behavior or artifice, the organization runs the risk of having its mission undermined. However, the trip to New York, which was supposed to be a demonstration of their humanitarian credentials, has now been soiled by an instance of dishonesty of a more minor nature. The whole essence of their celebrity-driven philanthropy is called into question, which is considered to be an unpleasant topic. In the end, this episode serves as a warning tale about the dangers that are associated with image management in the time of digital technology. In this day and age of intense online scrutiny, where every single post is recorded and every single detail is cross-referenced, even the smallest inconsistency may be uncovered with a speed that is really mind-boggling. Having the ability to manage one's own story is an imagined capability. It is inevitable that the truth, or at least a version of it, will always find a way out, and it will frequently come from the most bizarre of places. Daniel Martin's Instagram post, which was very quiet, might very possibly be removed, making it yet another digital ghost in the Sussex machine. But there is no turning back now. The photograph has been taken, the narrative has been conveyed, and a cloud of uncertainty has been placed over the glow that was applied with great care. For Meghan Markle, this serves as a jarring reminder that the image you give to the world is only as genuine as the individuals who assist you in creating it, and that loyalty, in contrast to foundation, can be shattered in an instant. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts and say goodbye for now.